Welcome to another episode of the Tapestry podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Froswá Drew, and I am so excited to be with my guest, who is someone that I am honored to know. I have been watching her grow, and you're going to love her just as much. But before we get started, I always want to remember to do shout outs to the ISP team, because without them, I could not do this work. And so I'm just very grateful. You all support ISP Studios and check them out for the amazing work that they do in community and behind the scenes. And so we're going to get started reading the bio of this phenomenal woman that I'm so proud of. Kapri Willis is a seasoned CEO overseeing two successful enterprises who seamlessly balances the role of a veteran, philanthropist, and devoted mother. With a commendable 6-year tenure as a Navy Corpsman in California, Virginia, and Afghanistan, Kapri's journey is rooted in service and dedication. Fueled by her passion for people, Kapri commits herself to delivering unparalleled service to her community, actively contributing to their growth and development. Her nonprofit venture is centered on aiding homeless veterans and families, supplying essential items like toiletries, books, and blankets. This commitment stems from the military ethos of looking out for one another, a principle Kapri wholeheartedly embraces. Furthermore, Kapri is the driving force behind Jefri Spencer, which I love. We'll talk about that in a bit. A prestigious skincare brand that emerged in 2020 during the challenging times of the COVID-19 pandemic, motivated by her own experiences with skin conditions exacerbated by the pandemic-induced stress and lifestyle changes. Kapri embarked on a mission to redefine skincare, and her stuff is amazing. I'll stop. At the heart of Jefri Spencer is Kapri's dedication to promoting skin confidence, a vision born out of the belief that everyone deserves to feel comfortable and confident in their own skin. Understanding the profound impact that the pandemic had on skin health, Kapri sought to create a line of products that not only addressed specific skin concerns, but also elevated the overall well-being of individuals. Kapri Willis, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I love your product. I'm going to go straight to that.
Okay.
And we'll get to the other stuff. Y'all, she has this brown sugar, like silk, that's like a butter. You've got the fragrance, the oil. I mean, I use all of her stuff. I was in here before we got started, like begging and going, I want some more. I'll pay. I don't need anything
I
free.
order in now.
Y'all, this stuff smells good, but on top of that, it feels so good. What made you go, I need to create something in the midst of a pandemic with all these things that are going on, that you decided it was important to do a skincare line?
Well, it started off just for myself. And when I was in the kitchen putting some oils together, it was helping my dry skin, but I was starting to smell like Crisco. And I was just like, dang, like I don't want to walk around smelling like Crisco. So from there, I did some research and I was like, well, what can make it smell better? And that's when I got into essential oils. And essential oils are great for what they do, but it wasn't giving, alluring, enticement. And I'm very, very into smelling good. So not only did I want to heal my dry skin, but also wanted to smell good. So after I was smelling like Crisco, up came this business plan, and then that's how Jefri Spencer became.
It is amazing product. And I'm not just saying it because you are here. I use it. I love it. I want more. I give it away as gifts.
So, I love that though.
I'm always like,
people come back, they're like, well, Dr. Froswá gave it to me. I'm like, okay, well, come on back.
So don't ask me to buy you and send it, because I'm not doing that. No. Buy your own. But talk about some of the different products that you have.
So we're a body-focused brand. So we have a body toner, and that helps with acne and discoloration. We have the Skin Silk, which is what you're talking about. And it's like a butter. It's Vaseline, butter, and lotion all mixed in one. So it has this consistency of a thicker layer. So it's not really butter, but butter, if you will. What's that slogan from that butter? I can't believe it's not butter. That's basically the kind of gist of it all. It hydrates, it moistens, it leaves a shiny film. That's why I like the Skin Silk. And then also smells good.
Oh,
So
it smells amazing.
if you and your partner, are cuddling, I want Jefri Spencer to be that reason why you're cuddling a little longer,
You have to learn and cuddle with this.
Yes, I mean, I'm really big into intimacy. And so I feel like your olfactory system helps with the intimacy levels. And so that's why I just like love fragrance. We have body oils, we have body mists, we just have everything body. Everything body.
Amazing. What made you come up with that name?
Well, when we first started, when I was in the kitchen smelling like Crisco, it was called just Body Stuff. And when I came up with my business plan, I didn't think that just Body Stuff would be on Sephora shelves or just, a big retailer shelf. So I had to like carefully plan what the name was going to be. So in 2021, my grandmother passed, excuse me, and in cleaning up her stuff, you have to do after they pass, we came across an old article. And she was a dancer at the time, and her stage name was Jefri Spencer. Now, my grandma has been many of names, but I've never in my life heard Jefri Spencer. So we called family members. We were calling ex-husbands like, wait, who's this Jefri Spencer person? So it finally came out that it was her stage name. So after thinking about it, I was like, oh my God, that would be the perfect rebrand because I did dedicate the business to her. She was a skincare guru for us. She was an Avon lady. Mm-hmm. So my grandmother is intertwined heavily into the business, so why not name the business after her? And it wasn't her government name, but it was her stage name. So I was like, this is perfect. So that's where Jefri Spencer came from.
I love that you're using legacy.
Yes,
to
absolutely.
Build. What made you want to be an entrepreneur?
The flexibility, the control of what my passion is and to share that with the world. I don't know. It was never driven about finances. It was more being able to control my passion and sharing it. I think that's what drove me more into being an entrepreneur. And I see that it's doing very well for me. I love doing it because I talk about it every day, all day. But I've done the corporate, I've done the military, I've done it all, and I've never been an entrepreneur. So once I stepped into this lane, I loved it.
What do you love about it besides the flexibility?
Besides the flexibility, the learning, the education. You learn something new every day in different ways. If it is about financial, if it is about product development, or if it is about relationship building or reading, different books, I'm learning something every single day. And I love to have my mind stimulated like that. It's probably why I'm still single a little bit because I need a man to stimulate my mind. But that's the beauty of it. I love learning every day. That's what drives me to keep going.
You do. Mm-hmm. I don't think people recognize being an entrepreneur. And I say this because I heard someone else say this. You work more for yourself than you do if you have a job. Mm-hmm. The 8 hours that you work at a job, or even 10, double that when you're doing your own business. And yet there's something so fulfilling about being able to build something for you and build legacy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. To carry on a name.
Yes.
And even for my son, like even if he takes over or sells it, whatever he decides to do when I'm gone, that name will be passed on. And that is fulfilling. Like nobody will ever forget Jefri Spencer and the CEO and the co-founders behind it. So that is beauty. That is priceless within the entrepreneurship world for sure.
It is. You're an influencer too. Because I watch you for clothes. We were talking about that earlier, that I need her to style me because she is always so cute and on point. What made you get into this space with being a fashion influencer?
I've always, this cliche, I've always had a passion for fashion. And again, that stems from my grandma. She was snazzy all the time. When I got into the military, it was kind of hard for me because you couldn't be an individual. You had to go look like everybody else. And I hated that. Nail color, how you wear your hair, your uniform, almost to your underwear. Like everything had to be uniform like everybody else. And that killed my soul internally. So when I got out, I hit the ground running. I was like, oh my God, I can be individual now. I can wear whatever I want. So through that, I started to see that I had a certain shape. I was a certain height. I was a certain color. I was a certain, and I wasn't seeing representation at the time. So I still kind of struggle with it as far as like creating content, but I still don't see anybody that's like me. And we have a lot of women out here in the world, beautiful women, but I still don't see my shape, my height, my color, or whatever the case is. And so that's what keeps me going and wanting to do it more. It's like I need that representation to see, like you, what can I wear? Oh, I can get that from Target, or I can get that from so-and-so. Let me click and buy it because I have that relatability. So that's what pushed me into the influencing.
And talk about some of the things that you do as an influencer, because I want people to see. I love what you do because you represent plus size women.
Yes.
And you're shapely. And so it's often hard to find clothing
Oh, absolutely.
that fits, especially if you've got a smaller waist. And to see the representation in that space. What is it about that for you that has really made an impact? How do you see that changing the conversation and even the dynamic for yourself, but other people that don't always show up in media and fashion? Because everybody typically is like this.
Right. Well, I actually had this conversation with a brand not too long ago about that inclusivity word. Inclusivity doesn't mean just color. Inclusivity doesn't mean just different body shapes, like a small, medium, large, extra large. There's so many different nuances to bodies that you can never depict it all in one person or just 4 people. You're never going to get that. So when I started dressing, I've always been able to dress for myself. But when I was starting to influence, my goal was to say lumps and bumps can still be dressed. Small and tall can still be. Nobody's excluded in fashion. Nobody's excluded. Not anymore, for sure. But I wanted to show people that this is what inclusive means for me, not just a small, medium, extra large, because there are extra larges that are top heavy or bottom heavy or vice versa. I'm more boxy in my body type, where somebody can be the same size as me, a 2X, and they're more curvy, like bigger boobs and a bigger bottom. We're still the same size essentially, but we're shaped way differently. And so when I was embarking on this journey, I wanted women to be able to see body type, not body size. Body type is what, the things that you have to tuck and hide or don't hide or, enhance or don't enhance. That's the goal that I really wanted women to kind of get into, and not just being focused on a number or a size,
That's huge because that can be debilitating.
Absolutely.
Because you can think of even weight. I know people who are, similar weight, but height totally changes what proportions can look like.
Absolutely.
And I don't think people recognize weight and even sizes aren't really authentic indicators. One for health is a big one that
we talk about that all day.
It's not always about health, but the other piece is just the way bodies are proportioned. You can be the same, size as you said, and it looks so different on you than somebody else.
And that's one of the reasons why. And I think people get intimidated by the word fashion. Fashion is putting on clothes. Styling is where it gets a little hard, right? But fashion is just a garment. We don't have to be so intimidated by a garment. If you see something, you like it, and you can fit it, put it on. Now let's see how we're going to style it so that it complements your personality. So I think now we're in a time where it's like everything's fashion, fast fashion, trendy or luxury fashion. That's just a garment. Styling is where we need for women to kind of understand not only their body type, but their height or their comfortable level, and then also reading their personality in that same garment. We can have on the same thing right now, and it's going to look completely different. Not because of our body type, it's just how you're going to style versus how I'm going to style. So it's really important for me for women to understand, like, do not get intimidated by the word fashion or a garment. Don't be intimidated by it at all. It's really just having fun. That's how I learned how to do it, trial and error. I put it on, look in the mirror, and I'm like, ooh, that don't look good. That don't look good. Then I'll just put a jacket on, or I'll do something, put a stocking on, whatever the case is. I'm like, oh, it's starting to read Kapri.
But I love how you do that. When I see your videos and you're dressing up, you'll take something that may be so simple and the way you accessorize it
Mhm.
and the way that you'll do ties and things. So I'm like, gosh, she takes this and turns it in something
Something totally different.
yeah, but it
Mhm.
fits your personality. I don't
Mhm.
think people recognize that you don't have to look like everybody else.
Mm-mm.
You can buy the exact same thing
Mhm.
and make it fit who you are.
Absolutely. We all have those people we look to. Like, I love Tracy Ellis Ross. Love her to death. But I'm never going to look exactly like her. One, we are not the same type, body type, height, skin tone, but she does influence things how I put it together so I can read the same way. But we don't have to look exactly like whoever we're looking to, if that makes any
It
sense.
makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
I love personality and all the things, even skincare, your makeup. A dark skinned girl might put on a blue eyeshadow. I would never, but then you might inspire me to like, okay, well, maybe I'll do like a darker blue, but it fits me because I know that's my personality. I just wish women would not put so much pressure on themselves and just, have fun and just do. That's it.
Where do you think that pressure comes from?
Society or upbringing. I had pressure from upbringing that I had to break up with
What do you mean?
for sure.
Talk about that.
Expectation, like having my grandma, my aunt, and my mom, they were raised in expectations. Like, you're supposed to get married. You're supposed to have kids when you're married. You're supposed to dress like this. You're supposed to go to church every Sunday. That was expectation living.
Yes.
But that's what they passed down to each other. I broke the mold because I was just like, hey, I'm not going to do what you want me to do. I'm going to do what Kapri wants to do. And either you ride
Mine
with
does that
it.
too. She does what she wants to do.
We're in this time, we're able to have we are able to stand on our own a little bit more, but I'm 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I'm like, yeah, I could do what I want to do, but I still want to be respectful.
Yeah.
And so I had to navigate that, like still respecting my people, but I want to live for Capri. So I think society and that tradition or the generation kind of keeps that pressure on some women where they're like, I have to perform or be this type of woman. Whereas you have the full capability of being who you want to.
Yes.
Either they're gonna rock with you or they're not.
Exactly.
That's it.
And to live your life for other people is exhausting.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting. When I got out the military, my mom wanted me to go to nursing school. Excuse me. I did it at first. And I was just like, this is not my passion. I'm so sick of it. I'm tired of seeing blood, guts, and bones. Like, I'm over it. I'm over it. And so I had to fight my inner self because, again, I wanted to do what they wanted me to do. And I said, no, I'm going to fashion school. When I told her across this table, I said, hey, I'm going to fashion school, she looked at me like I was crazy. She was like, you better have a plan B. And just because of her trained mind was that there's no career in fashion. You can't. All I know is nurse, doctor, lawyer,
Yeah.
It was that
Get a job.
conditional training that she was going, trying to put on me. And I was just like,
Yeah.
you've had me for so many years. It's time for me to cut the cord. And once I did that, I've been living for Capri, and without question, it has been the best decision I've made, for sure.
It's so hard for women to do that because of the conditioning from both their families, faith, society, that it puts these barriers to you really being who you're called to be. How were you able to reconcile that? Because I know you're a person of faith.
I am.
So how do you reconcile being your own person when sometimes our faith tradition can make us feel so restricted?
Well, knowing your relationship with God is all that matters. He does not judge. He does not leave. He does not be angry. He does not hold a grudge. All these things that we're afraid of in the flesh of our human people, God is not like that. So when I had to realize, like, dang, like, God is still going to hold me down. He's not going to be mad. Like, he's not going to come to the pearly gate like, you decided to be who you were. You're going to go down there. Yeah, like, you can't. No entry. He's not like that. So when I realized, like, God is going to always love me no matter who I decide to be, that's what gave me the confidence to say, you either going to rock with me or not. Because God is going to always rock with me. And that's really who matters. Because when I pass, you either going to be here or you're already going to be gone. You're going to stay here or you're going to be gone. So you're really a non-factor in this sense.
Yes.
So
right, yes.
Having that relationship, when you that light switch clicks on and you're like, dang, God really does have my back. Through all of it, it gives you that extra step of confidence to become and step in your own path. For sure.
We were talking about earlier, you had a situation
Oh,
that
Lord.
happened. And I want to talk a little bit about, because for me, listening to you, how you processed it
Mhm.
through your faith,
Mhm.
but having this optimistic view versus seeing it from, oh my God, something happened
Mhm.
that was so bad or could be perceived that way.
Bad, yes. Because everybody I tell, they gasp.
Yeah,
Like,
I did for a little bit, and then I was like, "You're right."
right.
So
But we
talk
talked
about
through it. We talked
Yeah.
through it. So what she's talking about, guys. I went to go pump some gas and was not in the moment, just moving for the next day. I was not focused. And $1,000 dropped out of my pocket. And I looked dead at that envelope. And I was like, oh, that's not mine, or they might have COVID on it, or it's wet. That's gross. It was just all the things but pick it up wasn't going through my mind. So it didn't register in my head that that was money. It registered in my head that that's somebody's bill. I hope they pick it up. Or, ew, it has COVID. Or, ew, it's wet. I don't want to touch that. I'm a texture person. I'm like, ew, I don't want to touch soggy paper. So I just stepped over it and I kept walking. I pumped my gas. I looked back at it. I'm like, oh no, I hope they find their bill. And I'm like, okay, get in my car. I go home. I go to sleep. I'm rested. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the best sleep ever. I wake up out of my sleep. I'm like, that was $1,000. Heart dropped. I don't even know who I was in the moment. I immediately run to my mom because she lives with me. And I'm like, Mama, I was in trouble. I was like, oh my God, so I was doing this. And I was like, oh my God. And it dropped up, but I wasn't paying attention. I looked at it and I was like, I lost $1,000. She started crying. So I got confused. I was like, wait, why are you crying?
It's not your money.
It's not your money. It's mine. But she's so empathetic. She's just like,
it hurt me when you told me.
Yeah, because the initial shock of it all was like, you just lost 1,000, not 100, 1,000.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. So immediately my head went to God, please cover me in this situation. Because I have no control. It's gone at this point. God has covered me in bad situations that this one really was minute honestly. Like $1,000 is a lot to a lot of people and it was a lot to me. But my son was born a micropreemie. He was 1 pound, 13 ounces. He covered me through that. You know, I fought for my life in Afghanistan. He covered me through that. So he covered me through this $1,000 loss. You know, like we fighting for lives here. And I'm going to be up like so set back over $1,000. I was like, I can't stop progression. I can't stop life. I can't stop anything for $1,000. So it still burns, but I know that whoever got that $1,000, it was a blessing to them. And I just keep praying over it that whoever received it was able to pay a bill, buy some food for their family, fix their car. I just pray that it wasn't used for drugs and alcohol, but I can't control that. And I'm not going to harbor over something I can't control. So when God said, don't worry about it, I said, okay. And I just tell the story because it's like, girl, I just lost $1,000.
But it's so many lessons.
It's so many lessons.
So many lessons. I mean, one, why do we panic over things we can't control?
We can't control.
Two, if we say we trust God, then we got to let God be God.
Mm-hmm. You got to let go and let God. That song is not there for no reason. You literally, you can't say that you have faith and worry. Those are contradictions.
Yes.
You can't say that.
Yes.
So I had a bill to pay, but I couldn't worry about it because I'm like, if it's time for me to get evicted, it's just time for me to get evicted. Do I want that to happen? No. But somewhere something's going to work out. And luckily, it did work out. So I had to deep dive into the lesson in that moment because it was big. It wasn't a thump on the head. It was a grab your wrist and sit you down very firmly. You need to slow down. You're moving too fast. If I provide you the life that you have been praying for, you're going to lose a lot more than $1,000. So you either sit down, live in the moment, focus, and pay attention, or I'm not going to bless you with the life that you prayed for. And so I said, yes, sir.
Oh, that's good.
I said, yes, sir. I'm just going to sit down. So that's what I did. So now I'm very intentional about focusing. And I still, mess up a little bit. But my main focus is to focus and be in the moment, for sure.
I was reading the other night about the difference in balance and focus because so many people are on this thing of work-life balance. and they don't recognize it as an entrepreneur. There are seasons when there is no
No
balance,
such thing.
and you have to focus,
Mhm.
knowing that it is a season of doing this intense focusing.
Mhm.
The fact that you are able to have your life in such a way that, one, you recognize it's bigger than you,
Mhm.
that you recognize that God is in control, but you have expectations of God to do even more, is remarkable.
Yes, there was a learned thing. It took me like we were talking earlier, it took me a while to even have that understanding. I went through the why me, or why you doing that, or I'm upset. Are you even real? I did all of that. I've done all that. And then time after time, he's like, no, I'm still here. I did that on purpose. But you haven't saw the lesson yet. Let me show you again. And again. And again. He's like, girl, you are stubborn. I'm like,
Yeah.
I haven't learned it yet.
I'm one of those children too of his.
I haven't learned it yet.
But that's amazing that you're able to see it from that perspective, because otherwise it could be debilitating.
Oh, absolutely.
If you totally focus on what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
God, as we talked about earlier, doesn't waste anything. Everything that we go through is ultimately, if we believe it and choose it, for our good.
Our good. Yep. Absolutely. And your story is not for you. It's for somebody else. No, every time, whatever you're going through, and I tell this to my friends today, it's hard for you to go through it right now, but the beauty is that you're able to help somebody not go through it, later on in life. And I'm like, oh, I never thought about it like that. And I'm like, yeah, well, everything I've gone through from top to bottom, it was hard for me, and it almost broke me. But I'm able to talk to people about it now with a smile, and in hopes that it helps you prevent getting to where I went. That's the blessing. That's what I said. Everything that happens to me now is, what's the lesson? What do I need to learn?
The test is now the testimony.
Yes.
That's
yes.
awesome. That
exactly.
is so awesome.
Yes.
I want folks to get in contact with you. I need them to buy product. I'm serious. Y'all will love this. Everything she sells.
Oh my God.
I have stuff all in my bathroom because they know it's your product. So how can they reach out to you?
So online, we're at www.jefrispencer.com. Jefri is spelled Jefri Spencer. Instagram is at Jefri Spencer. My personal is at I am Kapri W, and Kapri is spelled with a K. Everything is I am Kapri W or Jefri Spencer. I keep it one way across the board. So personal, I am Kapri W. Business, Jefri Spencer.
And you got to follow her on Instagram, because she does these videos and the clothing. She makes me want to spend all my money.
Don't spend. Hey, I do affordable fashion. So if you do, you're going to get a lot of pieces.
I love it. I wish we could go on.
I know. Can we do an hour next time?
We're going to have to do more. we gotta bring you back. Seriously. Because you are remarkable. Seriously.
Thank you so
I am
much.
so honored to know you and see how God is using you. Yes. I really believe that you have just seen a taste of what is about to happen in your life.
Oh, man, I pray so. I'm ready.
God has got so much for you. And so I'm honored to witness it. So this has been another episode of the Tapestry Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Froswá Booker Drew, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And if y'all want to check out more episodes like this of amazing women, check us out on YouTube.
Yes.
Thank you. Take care.